In the era of brutal civil war, 22,500 years ago, a Chinese military commander, strategist, and philosopher emerged. His name was Sun Tzu. After successfully defending the state of Wu against its western neighbor, Chu, a book originally known as Master Sun's Military Methods was born. Over time, this book became famously known as The Art of War. It is the most influential treatise on warfare ever written, consisting of 13 chapters, each dedicated to a different aspect of military strategy. For thousands of years, this text has shaped the way wars have been fought. From the Japanese samurai to the Napoleonic Wars, the art of war has influenced countless military commanders and generals across the world. But its impact extends far beyond the battlefield. Its principles have had a lasting effect on politics, sports, and business. To this day, the art of war remains of critical importance to the state, as it is a matter of survival, leading either to safety or destruction. Therefore, it is a subject of study that must never be overlooked. Sun Tzu embraced a holistic approach to warfare, believing that those who study and apply his principles thoroughly will always prevail. He stated, "Avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak." Sun Tzu strongly believed that true victory comes from winning wars with minimal, unnecessary combat. He asserted that supreme excellence lies in breaking the enemy's resistance without engaging in direct battle. The key to this is knowing your adversary well. If your opponent is arrogant, appear weak so that he underestimates you. If he is resting, strike swiftly and deny him peace. If his forces are unified, create divisions among them. Sun Tzu's philosophy is clear. If you understand your enemy's weaknesses and know how to exploit them, you will never be defeated. And so, at dawn, the desperate Athenians take a bold step. They attack. They strike at the weary Persians as they step off their ships. Still unsteady after weeks at sea, they launch their assault before the Persians can set up a war camp or establish supply lines. Sun Tzu famously said, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." This principle was evident in the mid-1960s during the war between the North Vietnamese communists and the United States. Rather than facing the Americans head-on, the Viet Cong adopted a different strategy. They relied on unconventional guerrilla tactics, including hit-and-run attacks, which proved highly effective against the much larger U.S. military. To Sun Tzu, it is more important to outthink the enemy than to outfight him. The Viet Cong were outmatched in both manpower and firepower, but their guerrilla tactics allowed them to inflict significant damage while minimizing their own casualties. They also possessed an unparalleled knowledge of the terrain, which worked to their advantage. A vast network of underground tunnels enabled them to evade bombing raids and escape enemy forces. The landscape was also rigged with deadly booby traps and landmines. Despite being outgunned by a global superpower, the North Vietnamese forces ultimately triumphed by applying Sun Tzu's philosophy. As Sun Tzu stated, all warfare is based on deception. When able to attack, one must appear incapable. When using forces, one should seem inactive. If near, create the illusion of distance, and if far, make the enemy believe you are close. This philosophy was evident during World War II, particularly in the D-Day invasion of Normandy. The British devised an elaborate deception, fabricating entire military units, supposedly stationed in Scotland, and preparing to invade Northern Europe through Scandinavia. They used misinformation techniques to convince Hitler that 350,000 troops were gearing up for an assault. Radio chatter in Scotland was filled with fake transmissions about this phantom army's preparations, ensuring that the Germans could intercept them. Meanwhile, Allied spies who had infiltrated German ranks confirmed these false reports, making them even more believable. To further the ruse, fake photographs of planes and tanks were staged, but in reality, they were nothing more than inflatable models. This deception successfully diverted German divisions to meaningless locations, forcing them to wait for an attack that never came, while critical battles unfolded elsewhere. A similar strategy was executed on D-Day itself. Soviet forces engaged nearly 1 million German soldiers on the Eastern Front, keeping them occupied while the Allied invasion took place in the West. Dividing the enemy is one of Sun Tzu's fundamental principles, and its application during World War II played a crucial role in securing victory for the Allies, ultimately leading to the end of the war. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what topics you'd like us to cover next.